Hello and welcome to another edition of the C Squared podcast or CGI podcast. I don't even know what these are called anymore. But my name is Curtis. I'm here with my co-host Gaia Gorda. We are here to talk about a very exciting thing that's going to be coming up, which is our upcoming Launch Your Album seminar. I almost called it a challenge, but it's not a challenge. It's a seminar. We're going to be doing it on December 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. And we're going to be having me, Gaia, and Holly Royal. All three of us are going to tag team up, and we're going to talk about how to launch your album successfully. So the reason why we're going to be doing this together is because Gaia and Holly are both musicians. Gaia is someone that has successfully launched an album, including crowdfunded it last year, I believe. Yep, 1 year. She launched her album, Anatomy of Fear. Last November, and basically what she did is she crowdfunded the whole thing, self-financed the whole thing, and sold 200 copies of the CD, and this is her official solo debut. So she was known before that, yes, and she was already in a band, but as a solo artist to sell 200 copies is pretty damn good. She's also done merch. She knows how to she knows how to do marketing. She knows how to do PR. She knows everything. She is now she's a Swiss Army knife of metal, I'm going to call her now. Now that I've totally oversold you, Gaia, why don't you give a little bit of a statement on what you want to have come out, people to get out of this seminar, without going into details yet. That's going to be next.
Yeah. Okay. Without going to details. So as Curtis said, like, I'm an independent artist. So I released my own album last year. So I learned a lot of things when I was working on the album, and I learned a lot of things after releasing the album, of things that I should have done, things that I did right. And I want to give all this information during the seminar to artists that are like preparing a new release, or like maybe releasing like a few years too. But I want to be able like to teach people all that I know on how to make your album successful. Yes.
Cool. So now what type of person, or not what type of person, what level of musician do you think could attend this seminar? Like, whereabouts in there? Can they be noob? Can they be like around for a while? What type of person should be attending the seminar, in your opinion?
I feel like everybody. If you're like just starting, you have like some songs and you want to eventually like make an album next year or like in a few years, I think you're a good candidate for this seminar, because you're going to learn how to budget, you're going to learn how to finance, you're going to learn like how to get ready for a promotion, and learn a lot of other stuff. But also, if you're a musician that already released albums and that you're just looking for more ideas on how to make your next release more successful than was already, I feel like this is a seminar for you too. So I feel like no matter where you are in your career, this is something that's going to bring you I hope that's going to bring you more insight, and that's going to make you a better marketer, a better artist, a better musician.
Well, it's not just a marketer, but it's going to be someone that knows how to do a multitude of different tasks, right?
Yeah, exactly.
So we're not going to be covering recording or anything like that. We're not going to be covering musical ability. Like, this all presupposes that you have talent and that you know what you're doing musically. Like, if Gaia didn't know what she was doing musically, it would have bombed no matter what she did. But I mean, like, if you really want to try the strategies and you don't know what you're doing, by all means go ahead, but it's probably not going to work. So that being said, so let's talk about some of the things that we are going to be covering in the seminar. Actually, no, we forgot to tell, or did I? Did we say the date? We didn't say the date.
Yeah, you did say the date, but we can repeat it again. So December 4th. At 2 p.m. Eastern time.
Perfect. Cool. And we're going to have to keep throwing that in every few minutes. December 4th at 2 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. So here's kind of like the layout of how we're going to be doing the seminar. So first thing we're going to be going over is budgeting, and I'm hoping Gaia can kind of briefly kind of touch on each point without going into detail.
So when it comes to budgeting, we're going to touch a little bit of like the things that usually you should be putting money in when you're like, I guess, budgeting your album, like the things are like your expenses, basically your expenses, but also how to finance your album. So when it comes to crowdfunding, when it comes to like finding other ways that you can finance your album, so that's going to be like in the budgeting area, like part of the seminar.
So okay, so it's just to clarify, unless I misunderstood you, so you're going to be going over some other ways, not just crowdfunding.
There's other ways too. Yeah.
Cool. Just making sure that I had heard that correctly. So she's not going to cover, selling kidneys or blood or anything like that. She's going to be covering, unless she wants to. You know what? That would be kind of funny if someone crowdfunded or got their album funded just by selling their kidney or something like that.
I feel like that's probably something that someone already did somehow.
Maybe.
Somewhere. Like I feel like that is not like that far-fetched.
What if they donate? Anyways, I'm going to get silly here in a second here. So just out of curiosity, Gaia, how in depth are we going to be getting on the finance aspect of things?
Well, I was thinking of like doing like maybe I'm thinking I think maybe at least 15 minutes on it. So kind of like medium depth.
Okay. Medium depth, but not like too in depth. But I do want to point out, if anybody still has questions afterwards, Gaia or I will be happy to answer them within reason.
Yeah.
Within reason. Keep in mind that Gaia normally, I think we were saying at one point we were charging $100 an hour for you to do crowdfunding calls, I think is what it was. I don't think we discussed it. I don't think we never actually sold it, but we were actually talking about having you do them for $100 an hour. So just to interject this right here, the price, it's name your price. You don't have to pay Gaia $100, but if you pay $25 or more, you get a copy of the recording. Plus, you also get PDF notes that Gaia is going to be writing. And you don't have to pay Gaia $100 an hour unless you want to. If you decide to pay $100, by all means, go for it. She's not going to turn down your money if you want to pay her $100. But that being said, you don't have to pay a dime if you want to. So I just wanted to point out that we were talking about having you do it for $100 an hour. And I do know that some people were interested for that for their next album cycle. So let's briefly talk about some of the stuff that you got under the promotions tab there, Gaia.
Yeah, so we're going to also talk about promotions, which comes with like mailing lists. So I'm going to briefly go over how to like decide where to subscribe to your mailing list, how you can like get emails, why you should get emails, why, very important, you should. Also, like I'm gonna show you a little bit like how you can plan sales with your mailing list, what kind of posts you should do for your social media, and what kind of sale you should run. Yeah.
Pre-sale, are we talking, or are we talking
pre-sales too? Pre-sales, but I was thinking about sales, like I'm thinking about,
cool
because I had like events and stuff, and I feel like those went really, really well.
Cool. So we'll touch on every aspect, or not every aspect, but a lot of the aspects of selling. I think we missed something though, Guy. Social media. Did you mention social media?
I did mention social media too.
Then I zoned out when you were saying that, apparently.
Yeah, you're just like not listening to me.
Well, I thought it was, but maybe I wasn't. I don't know. Okay, so the next thing we're talking about is we're going to be talking about deadlines. You want to cover that a little bit?
Yeah, so there's a portion that we're going to talk about calendar. So figure out like your deadlines, what kind of posts. So that comes with like the social media, but also having like a calendar for your contents, your mailing lists, how often you should or should not email the people on your mailing list, what kind of stuff you should post also on your mailing list. So we're going to really go in depth with like not depth, but like medium depth. Okay. With the calendar. Also, I think I mentioned it before, but like I'm currently working on my second album. So I'm gonna bring part of like what I'm doing for my second album into the seminar just to show you how I'm planning for the next year. So that's gonna give you a good idea of like what you could do to plan for your own album too.
Awesome. So now let's just kind of go back a little bit here.
Yes.
I think we went over all the notes, but I wanted to cover. Yeah, we did. Okay. So now let's talk about for a second about Anatomy of Fear, because you launched successfully. So again, Gaia sold 200 copies of this physical album, the CD. She also sold a bunch of print on demand merch. She also sold not a ton of digital copies, but she sold some digital copies. And then you also did shows, right? Did you not? No.
I did not. I did
Okay.
all of that without having done any single shows.
That's right. Okay. Yeah, it was only Uriel that you did shows for.
Yeah.
So she sold a whole bunch of stuff without playing any live shows. So she knows what she's talking about. But here's the other thing I wanted to point out. We're going to talk for 1 minute here, if Gaia is okay, about the Anatomy of Fear launch.
Yeah.
Okay. So are you willing to say how much you crowdfunded for your album?
Yes. Okay. So the original goal was $4,000, and which when I was working on it, I thought it was like a very crazy amount because I had like no previous records with that project. It was a new thing. I had like no idea how well it would be. It would go, but I ended up doing almost. I think it was 5.7. Yeah, so it's $5,700. I think was the final amount.
Cool. And you did that in how much time?
It was 28 days.
So you made $5,000, sorry, $5,700 in 28 days on your debut album.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good.
Yeah.
That's pretty damn good. Okay. So, and that was your first time doing any type of crowdfunding, correct?
Yeah.
Cool. So I'm just trying to point out that you do know what you're doing and that you set a target and you actually beat the target. And again, she even sold out all of her physical copies. So you didn't really lose any money at all by doing this recording, correct?
No, and also like I sold out the copies. I think it was back in April.
Mm-hmm.
If I'm not mistaken, April or maybe no, I think it was April. So it was like only like 3 or 4 months after when I was in the pre-order. I sold most of my copies too. Like I did not have a lot of them left after the album was released.
That's right. You know what? I keep forgetting. It seems like it was so long ago that you released that album, but it was only a year.
1 year. Yeah.
Yeah. And so you sold out. Okay. So just to reiterate again, in 30 days, you made $5,700. And then by April or whatever it was, you had sold out all of the CDs.
Yeah.
December, January, February, March, April. That's 5 months.
Yeah.
Cool. All right. And you're still making sales now, right? Because you did that sale yesterday.
Yeah, I am still, except that now I closed my store for part of the winter. Yeah,
that's right.
I was still making sales. I was just like I was ready to move on to something else.
No, that makes sense. I had just forgotten you shut down the store. So up to a year later, Guy was still making sales, and now she's willing to go over her launch strategy. So next aspect of this I want to cover. So which part do you feel was the most important part of launching your album when you did it?
You mean like in general, or like when you come to promotion?
All of it, because you got all these different topics out of the budgeting, promotion, planning. What do you think was like the most important key thing without being too specific?
I think it was a promotion.
Okay, cool.
Yeah, because I was doing a lot of different things. I was posting, but I was also doing live stream. I was like reaching out people that had like a bigger audience that I had, and I really helped like boost my stats, I would say. And like I made a lot of new friends. Like I've met a lot of like new fans through like social media too. And so I think that helped the most. That, and also PR. I think PR might have been like one of the keys in the key point in having like the album sold out.
Mm-hmm. And the most amazing part of that was the fact that a lot of that was to metal people.
Yeah. And like I am a metal artist with my band, but like my music is not metal at all. And like most of my fans, I was actually looking, it was really funny. I was looking on Spotify. You can look at what your listener also listen. And I was looking through it like a few hours ago. And most of them, it's like they listen to Nightwish. They listen to a lot of classical music.
Yep.
And they listen to some Bjork and Lindsay, of course.
That's kind of funny. So, and also one of the ways that Guy and I met was actually through her promotion with Lindsay. So so that even paid off for her getting a job.
Yeah.
Boom. So as a result, now Guy and I are even working together. So now next thing I want to cover, I know we didn't want to make this a long one, but there's a couple things I want to cover here.
Yeah, sure.
So mailing lists. So you're going to be covering a mailing list. So are you going to be covering how to get a mailing list, or is this just for people that have a mailing list?
No, I think I'm gonna cover part of it, like how to like I'm gonna talk about the site that I'm using. But there's like other options and how to like start your mailing list, how to start building it, and why you should have it, and what kind of stuff you can put in your mailing list. Because I feel like a lot of people, for me, before I had my album, I had never used a mailing list in my entire like career. Like I had no idea that was a thing. And once I realized that it was something that was worth working on, I feel like most of my sales were done by my mailing list. So it's something that's very important. So we gotta touch. I think a big part is going to be like, not a big part, but like, you know, like maybe like a 15 minutes is going to be just on mailing list, because I think every musician should have one.
Now I have a couple more questions for you guys before. So number one is, so you got one of the things that you want to cover are web stores. Does a person need to have a web store already in order to get something out of the seminar?
Depends on where you are with your career. If you're just like starting and like you're getting ready like to release like in next year or like the year after, it's okay if you don't have your web store now, but at least know what you should have in your web store and how to set it up, at least the basic. I think this is something that we're going to teach you. If you already have one, that's great. But there's some stuff that I feel like a lot of artists are missing. And I think we're going to go and mention some stuff. And like, I'm not giving away, but I've yelled at people before because they were missing some key articles, some key items to sell.
So, okay. And then on top of that, you're also going to be covering bundling, are you not?
Yes.
Okay, just making sure I had that right. So, and then I had one more question for you, Guy. I'm just trying to remember what the heck it was. Oh, I know what it was. So, you're also going to be going in depth on print on demand as well, right? You do not need a web store for that, correct?
No, you don't.
Okay.
I've done it with like Bandcamp. It's more manual when you do it with Bandcamp, but like you can even do it there.
Cool. So is there anything that people should be aware, like is there any sort of tech type knowledge that they will need to have in order to get maximum benefit out of this?
I would say just be curious and open-minded about like learning new stuff.
Okay.
Come with like an open-minded attitude when you're coming to the seminar, because there's a lot of things that I feel like even myself, when I was starting, I was like, this doesn't make sense to me. But then when you're starting working on it, you're just like, oh, okay, this was actually something that I should have known before. And like now that I know, I'm gonna apply it on every single thing that I'm doing. And I feel like if you're trying to be a full-time musician, or you're trying like to build your brand, or you're trying to build your music, and you're trying to, you know, make sales, because we do music because we love it, but we also want to sell it because this is like the point also, like you want to make music to be sold. And so I feel like if you come with an attitude that's very negative about like all the information we're going to give you, you're not going to learn anything. But if you come with a very positive attitude and that you are willing to listen to what other people are saying, I think this seminar is going to help you reach a next level in your career.
I agree. That's a very key point, Guy, that you just made right there, that you need to come in with the mindset that you're going to learn something from it, and that you don't know all about it, and that you want to learn how to do it. So what else do we want to cover, Guy?
I'm looking at my list.
Cool. I thought you were just gazing into the camera, and I'm like,
no, I'm not. My list is just like right in my screen. I just want to double check.
My soul.
No, I think we covered mostly everything, unless I'm forgetting something important.
The only thing I can think of that you might be forgetting, although I'm not saying you're forgetting it, I'm just saying maybe you're forgetting it, is to reiterate the time, place, and amount.
Yes. So it's December 4th. December 4th. 2 p.m. Eastern time. We're gonna put the link somewhere
in the show notes.
yeah, in the show notes.
Yeah.
Again, so I don't think we talked about price of the seminar.
Did we not? Okay,
I
well,
don't think we did.
no, okay.
So
Well,
I'm gonna say it. So it's pay what you want. We all
yeah.
know that Christmas is coming and a lot of us are broke, but this is a lot of information that is really good for you to have. So like come and join us. But if you give more than $25, you get the recorded version, like the recorded video of the seminar, but also you get a PDF with notes. So those notes, they're gonna like be good for you for like forever, unless
Yeah.
like something big happened and like nobody is doing music anymore. But they're gonna be like good for you forever. You can like watch the video as many times as you want. You can listen to her amazing voices all over again. And if you give less, well, you're gonna have access to the event the day that we're doing it, but there won't be any repeats. So this is a one-time deal if you didn't pay $25.
That's a very good point. You cannot watch it live again because we're not going to be doing it again. But you can always rewatch the recording and you can listen to Gaia, you can listen to Holly. Oh, we didn't bring up Holly much, do we?
We should bring her more.
So we're also having Holly Royal join us in the seminar. And the reason why Holly is joining us is because she too is a musician. She is in a band called Disconnected Souls, who recently released a single and an EP. So she did a whole launch for a digital pre-order for their single, and then she did a whole launch for their CD. Warring Elements, I believe is the name of it. I'm blanking, but I believe it's called Warring Elements. And she did a successful launch with that. She did all the promo, she did all the planning. She's basically the brains behind that band. I know her boyfriend Fletch will say he's the brains, but with the marketing aspects, Holly's the brains. So Holly knows what she's doing with this, and then you got the double team of Gaia, who also knows what she's doing because she successfully raised $5,700, sold out 200 CDs, made digital sales, and also sold a bunch of print-on-demand merch. You got the queen of business over here, and you got the other, and you got Holly with who also has knowledge of these things. You got a double team over here, and then you got me talking as well. I mean, I only know mainly about PR and sales, but I can pick stuff too. So, any final words, Gaia, before we end off?
Just come and join us.
Come and join us. Link is in the not bio. Link is in the whatchamacallit, show notes. Check it out. And with that, we're done.